Hello there. What's going on, everyone? Today we're talking the Corvus. The Corvus is the new title for the Imperial Raider that comes in Rebellion in the Rim. It's also the only title for a ship that is not found in the core set that we're getting in Rebellion in the Rim. All the other titles are core set ships, so this one is the outlier, that one that's actually an expansion ship. So that's kind of cool. Now, the Corvus is the famous Imperial Raider that you may have seen in Star Wars Battlefront 2 that Iden Versio and all of her crew were using throughout the majority of that video game and that storyline. It was also a ship that had been converted and was then, fought in the Battle of Jakku and, kind of even extends into the sequel trilogy timeline. So there's always that chance that we will see the Corvus perhaps in Star Wars Episode 9 as a little Easter egg in a background scene, similar to how the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels was in Rogue One. It's kind of one of those things that I'll be looking for. But the Corvus is a very, very straightforward title when it applies to Star Wars Armada. It is an Imperial title. It only costs 2 points. It says, after deploying fleets, you may redeploy this ship within your deployment zone. And that has a lot of context to it because it sounds very simple. Well, you're going to deploy the ship first, and then once you guys are both done, then you can pick that ship up and deploy it somewhere else. Pretty simple. But there's a whole lot more to it than that. So we're going to take a look at some different ways that could work differently with certain objectives, maybe some sample builds in different ways that you might want to build it. So the Corvus is a really cool little title for a couple of reasons. One of the things that I think it gives it a really nice boost is the fact that it kind of treats you a little bit like how Radis can work for the Rebels, except for the fact you have to do it right away. So it's, but again, it's only 2 points, and it doesn't, doesn't require you have a whole other ship that's not being deployed or whatever. So it kind of helps when you're suffering from maybe activation disadvantage because you're going to get that last deployment. Now, the Raider itself isn't a particularly deadly ship, so depending on how you have it built, it's usually a weaker ship. Now, can still pack a punch, but it's not like, me getting to deploy a superstar destroyer last would be potentially game breaking. But deploying a Corvus last isn't really that big of a deal, on its own. But there's different things you can do with it. First off, if you wanted to deploy all of your squadrons based on the Corvus and then stall, let's say you did, I'm going to push it to the extreme. Let's say you put 16 TIE fighters in your build, and in your first deployment has to be a ship. So all, in the center of the map, or maybe even all the way to the right of the map, you put all of your TIE fighters, just keep dropping them in groups of 2 after the Corvus. Now that's 8, 9 active, or 9 deployments total. And then by then your opponent's probably already gone. Then you go ahead and deploy your fleet and where you really want them, the rest of your ships, and then redeploy the Corvus alongside them. And then the TIE fighters were just a distraction. Now, the disadvantage for something like that is your TIE fighter is going to be way out of reach. So more likely you deploy everything in the middle of the map. You deploy Corvus, all your TIE fighters in the middle, and then once it's all done, then you can deploy your other ships. So it's a really good stalling mechanism, and this really helps to facilitate a squadron-based stall. So that is very good. It also is good with certain objectives. So one of the favorites is fleet ambush. You're creating this ambush zone in the middle of the map. And one of the things that you can do with fleet ambush, to throw it off, is deploy Corvus first. Now all of a sudden he's in the ambush zone, and once everybody's all done, and of course they're going to deploy their fleets based on where you deploy your ships. So that kind of, and when you're done, you deploy in your deployment zone. So you're going to deploy Corvus back with your other ships. So if you have only 2 ships, for example, maybe you're running a superstar destroyer and a Corvus, then you can completely negate this type of objective and just have them both start all the way where you are, or something like that, which is very cool. Also, if you do have squadrons, you can then deploy those squadrons very far forward based off of this particular objective, based off of the Corvus, then pull the Corvus back. It's really especially good if you're running rogues that don't really need to be pushed. So that's kind of another cool little aspect to really get your rogues into the battle very, very quickly. If you somehow, got, superior positions played against you, well, guess what? You're going to deploy if you're a first player, you have to deploy all your stuff first. But if you're second player, all of a sudden, I have to, second player is then going to deploy all of their stuff. But if you're first player and you have Corvus, then you can be like, oh, wait, hold on a second. Now, after you second players deployed their stuff, I can now reposition this ship that might have been in a disadvantageous position. I don't think I'm pronouncing disadvantageous or disadvantageous. Disadvantageous. I don't even know what language I'm speaking now. Anyway, so superior positions is kind of a way for you to, to work with. I mean, and there's several objectives that kind of do this sort of thing. But then basically, if you have activation disadvantage, you can easily, get at least one ship repositioned afterwards. So that one's nice. Surprise attack is actually one of the new red objectives that's coming in Rebellion in the Rim. And this one is crazy. It does a lot of interesting things to you. But basically, if you decided to make Corvus your flagship, one of the things that this hurts. This hurts the first player's flagship because they have to deploy on the station, and usually somebody's going to put that station like in a bad position or maybe all the way close to you. So this way you're not anywhere farther forward, and you have to deploy your flagship first, and you have to deploy your flagship overlapping the station. And so that one is tough. Now, your opponent could quite simply, they could pull it up out to 5, so you could have it kind of out in the middle of nowhere, or they could push it all the way back, depending on what your flagship is. But if you decide to make Corvus your flagship, now granted, that means you have Corvus as your flagship. That's not necessarily the best place for a commander. However, if you're running a lot of small ships, if you're running Imperial MSU and you have maybe a lot of squadrons or something like that, you might just want Corvus to be like a lifeboat. So it's actually not a terrible idea because you know you can always deploy it somewhere safe, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so then once, if you have to deploy it overlapping the station, but then once you're all done, now all of a sudden you get to redeploy within your deployment zone. So very, very cool. I'm kind of digging that. I'm totally digging that. So, but outside of just objective stuff, I figured I'd do a couple of builds, like a Raider 1 build that you might see, and we're going to use kind of a couple of the new upgrades here. So we have a Raider 1 here, which is more of our close range version of the Raider. And so the Corvus can help you if you really want to get in close range, because maybe you're going up against an SSD or ISDs or something with a really big front arc, and you want to be able to outmaneuver them. But if you're deployed in the wrong spot, maybe it's not safe for you to outmaneuver. So this way, this can allow you to maybe deploy to the side a little bit or at an angle that will, hopefully get you to safety very quickly. And then this way you can hopefully outflank somebody. And also, by the way, you can change your speed after you deploy. That's an important thing because part of the deployment involves setting speed. So, if you just fake out and deploy at speed 1 and then they're like, oh, we're coming after you. Now you redeploy and you deploy at speed 4. Now you can really get in there and cause some harm. And, maybe you'll run some proximity mines on there just so that you can. It's not really the best ship for proximity mines because you're only going to be able to drop 1. But maybe you do run proximity mines and, just to kind of help with the whole, oh, you thought you were coming this way, but no, hold on a second. It kind of helps with the whole fake out. Like you're playing mind games. Before deploying fleets, you're going to drop your proximity mines. That's an option. Ordnance experts and assault concussion missiles would be great on a ship like this. Iden Versio, really good. It helps you survive, especially if you do get in close. You can finally cancel a lot of dice. You're going to end up, still having that brace, but you're also going to be able to use those evades at close range and range 1. That's awesome. So I don't even really care about Iden Versio's second ability. I think when you have her on a Raider, you just, for the most part, you just keep her there. I think you just keep her there and keep canceling dice. Now maybe I want to run a Raider 2. I still want some survivability. Brunson's another good option. Again, and she doesn't really require, she can work even better. Like she's better at maybe longer ranges, whereas Iden Versio is kind of shines up close. Captain Brunson can work well at long range. So maybe we're going to stay at longer ranges with a Raider 2, and we wanted to get, a good shot on your flagship and start weakening its shields, but we want to do it from safety. So maybe we'll run heavy ions and disposable capacitors so we can start shooting blue dice at long range. And maybe we'll use the new weapons battery techs, so in case you don't, you have a much better chance of rolling that blue crit, when you pop disposable capacitors at long range. So that's kind of a fun thing to do, and Brunson can help keep you alive while you do that. So that's the Corvus. This is also another image of the Corvus. This is like the modded Corvus. This is like the Raider refit or whatever they're calling this. But this was basically the way the Corvus looks through most of Battlefront 2 once they basically defected and joined the Rebellion, and thus the new New Republic. It's the New Republic Raider. And so, I'll admit, when I saw that they were making the Corvus, I was a little disappointed that it didn't look like this, and I was like, "Oh, are we gonna get the Corvus for the New Republic Raider? Are they gonna do that at some point? And what faction would it be? I don't know if I really want a New Republic faction because we have the Starhawk that's in the Rebellion. So is the New Republic also gonna be, is the Rebellion going to encompass all of New Republic stuff? Because then wouldn't that also carry over a little bit too much for Resistance stuff? So it becomes this interesting question, but I think we'll just have to wait and see. I would love to have this as an option for the Rebels at some point, but I think more than likely, because it would end up being so similar to the Imperial version of the Raider, that they'll probably hold off, and I bet you will end up seeing this for the Resistance. That's my prediction, but we'll have to see. We'll see. Let me know in the comments if you think that I'm right. Also, I have some giveaway winners to talk about. So it is the 8th of September, and I have been telling you guys we got some big giveaways. We got the $100 Amazon gift card giveaway winner to announce, as well as the Jin promos for Legion. So I'm going to do those first. For Legion from Patreon, the winner is going to be Brian Longoria. Congratulations, Brian. For the $100 Amazon gift card giveaway, our winner is going to be D6 Damager. Go ahead and send me a message on the back end of my channel on the About page, or at mailcrabbok@gmail.com, and I'll get your contact information and we'll get you squared away. But yeah, if you didn't win, stay tuned for next time. I've got plenty more giveaways coming around. I also have more promos that I'm going to be giving away, and they're not all going to be on Patreon. I'm going to be doing more promos on the channel as well. So let me know what game you're looking for promos for. Should I stick with Legion promos, or should I get some Armada or X-Wing promos out to you guys? Because I've got a little bit of everything right now, and trying to figure out what you guys really want. So I would love to hear from you guys on that. And also stay tuned, because there's new giveaways starting all the time. So I want to thank you guys so much for that. And as always, have a great day.